Okay, so in this video, I'm going to discuss about exception handling in Kotlin. So each exception is represented in Kotlin using throwable class. So the designing of exceptions, we can make custom exceptions, or either we can use the predefined exceptions like number format exception, divided by zero exception, null pointer exception. So many exceptions is there. So to handle the custom exceptions case, all we need to define class and inherit it from the throwable class, right? And the first thing is what are the exceptions. So exceptions actually, and the errors handling and exception handling, or so you can say exceptions and errors. These are the processes of responding to or recovering from a situation or some conditions that arises in your program while running. So actually Kotlin allows us to throw an exception. We can throw an exception, right? And exception can be caught, that has been thrown can be caught. And the third is exception can be propagated. It can be propagated, even it can be manipulated as well. Manipulated as well. So these are the things that we can do in Kotlin. And as I already told you that the class that is used to represent an error or an exception in Kotlin is throwable. Throwable is the class. So we need to we can model the exceptions, like we have a scenario, like for example we want to purchase some item, right? So we will use a vending machine, and this vending machine allows us to enter the name of the item. And if the name doesn't match, or if the entered name is invalid, so there could be something to handle this situation. So for this we have invalid selection case. So let's say we have we are going to vending machine error, right? And that vending machine error is something that comes from throwable, right? And because this vending machine error, the first situation I discussed, if user enters invalid name of the item that he want to purchase, or if the name is not valid or it is empty, so in that case we are considering that case as a, so to model that we have sealed data classes, or we can say we have classes. Let's use class, and that class name is invalid selection, and that invalid selection override where messages, which is type of string, right? And that inherits from vending machine error, right? And we have another class that, let's suppose we have another situation. If the user wants to purchase an item item doesn't exist in item count is 0 in the inventory, so item goes out of stock. So to handle that scenarios, we can make an out of stock exception, and we have override variances which inherits vending machines. In the third situation, we have a class suppose user input some amount, but this amount is insufficient, so in that case we have insufficient balance, insufficient amount exception, and so we'll say override val masses. And we have another situation is that to use the seed classes we have the authority, or we have the capability of using associated data with that classes. We are not tied to have the single instance of each value. So we can have val needed amount, we say needed amount, right? And that is something which is double, and it is also a vending machine error, right? So we have three cases, right? Now the problem is that we are, let's suppose we have a data class item that we want to purchase, and item has a val name which is on a string here, and the price which is a, I think is a tuple, right? And we have a function vend, and user tries to vend an item, and let's say the item dot name dot is blank. Suppose if it is blank, so in that case we will throw an exception. What is the exception for that? That is invalid selection, and we need to pass a message, please input the name. It should not be blank, it should not be blank, right? And the second case, if item dot count, item dot, the function says size, length, is about there must be a property here that will where count, and this count is nothing but the number of items in the inventory. So let's say item dot count, if this is greater than, if it is dot is count 0 and throw an exception by saying that out of stock, so we can say product is finished, check out tomorrow, check out tomorrow, right? And the second thing that handle that where where say condition if item dot price is greater than the coins entered, so we can say brand as an item and input coin, input amount. So input amount, then say that you have to throw an exception that will say that insufficient amount exception, and here you are writing enter needed amount, right? And there is one field almost needed amount is nothing but item the price minus input amount. And let's put that up, right? So this is how we can model the vending machine problem. Actually, the vending machine problem has three cases. One was invalid selection. So if input if user's input name is not correct, the item name is not correct. So it says that it throws an invalid selection. If item count in the inventory is 0, then it throws out of stack invention. And if there is a case that input amount is lesser than the item price, then the needed amount would be required, so it will throw that exceptions. So that was the point of discussion.